Hello and welcome to the channel. Alright, today we are back on Easy Start 2, and what we're going to do today is basically just do a walkthrough showing you how to modify an existing structure, be it a large ship or a station like this, to make it airtight using the new hangar airtight doors, and our other features of course. Now, as you'll know, Easy Start 2 does not have an oxygen system built into it. It does have conveyors riding through it as well, it's rather large for storage and refining. And of course, they went with a lot of cosmetic options for placement on this. For example, these large cargo containers are all both exposed externally and internally. So that's something you have to address to make it airtight. And that's what we're actually going to start with, is we're basically just going to go through the exterior here, find our gaps, as you can see. But as you can see, it actually opens up into the interior, and we're going to cover those up. So what we're doing here is just using a 3x3 window on this section here. And as you can see, it's nice and flush that way. It doesn't ruin the cosmetic look of it on the interior, and actually doesn't look too bad on the exterior either. So of course we've got other sections we need to do as well, and we'll put that down here as well. Of course, you're going to notice there is some gaps. We'll need to get more window parts. Take the slope and the flat. Start with the slope. That one we actually use a flat there. It can be a pain to place windows off of other window seals, so you just got to get down under it, angle it up like that. So that seals that area up. Check the back side. See, here's another gap we need to deal with. Now you can use windows, or you can even use the platforms. I'll actually change that out to a platform so you can see how that works. Both of those, collision-wise, you're not going to worry about too much. They do take up the whole square, but even though you can technically see a gap there, that actually counts as sealed. So let's come up here and check that. That should seal on both ends. I believe we have a refinery on top we got to check out as well. Which, yeah, that will be a problem. So, for the cosmetics for this, since it's got nothing looking out from it, we're actually going to go back and use a reversed window. Now, the refinery is interesting because the back section, which is more square, actually is airtight, but the front section certainly is not. So that right there should handle that. And I know that from experience from redesigning one of my own ships, which has a refinery taking up one of the back wall sections. That looks sealed. Come over here, and of course we need to close all our doors, so we'll use this menu here to go ahead and close that. Toggle open and close, so that way any of them that are actually open will close. Alright, so we know that those two towers are squared away. Let's take a look at this one here. Of course, first thing we notice is the cargo containers. Which this is going to get kind of interesting because of the way it is set up down there. So let's start with the easy one. Of course, this means that we're going to have to change some of these blocks out here. Which, it's a nice cosmetic design to it that they went with there, but of course in this situation, we do have to swap it out. So we'll go ahead and work on the other side real quick. What we'll probably end up doing... Sorry, keyboard dropped. So what we'll probably end up doing here is just cutting away these sections. We go in with this. Now that, we might have to deal with in a different way here. Didn't realize there was a ramp there. Let's try inverting an armor slope for the interior. And then there. That should actually seal it up. Which of course we can do different options for various cosmetic effects. But that will get it sealed up so you can actually use it properly for now. Alright, so that definitely changes the look of it. It's not necessarily a bad look change there. Of course, we'll have to make those colors match later on, or do something different with it altogether. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a change. We have a refinery up here as well to deal with. Those vents are actually exposed as well, but it should be convenient enough to place that here. Just checking to make sure that those windows will actually stay sealed on. Yeah, it's better just to remove them since we can't really tell from that angle. Usually if you can get the angle right, you can just bump into it like I was trying there, and if it doesn't seal, of course, it will just fly right off. Alright, so we'll actually probably just want to go ahead and replace those vents. It'll be the easiest way to do it. Alright, so this is exposed here. Looks good over there. Alright, so this one's going to be a challenge because we're actually going to have to tear up this walkway around here and basically just change the overall look of this area. So let's go ahead and take a look inside, see what the interior of that room looks like, and get an idea if it's something we even want to tear up. So there's a gap right there. Okay. Go ahead and seal that up. So that is all sealed up now. Alright, so in this, when you have the conveyor tubes going through, they are not airtight. So the way you're going to seal those up is replacing the tube with a block. You can put one here, you can put one inside, whichever one you want to go with. I'm going to put it inside just for the cosmetic looks of it. Well, cosmetic issue, basically. Alright, let's take a look at this tube here. See how that one's got that conveyor block right there, so we don't have to worry about that end. Alright, so this room is exposed, since there's no doorway down there. We'll have to add a door. This should be the door to our refinery and cargo room here. Which, on the outside, we'd have to tear it up to make this work. But since we're inside, we can actually just go straight ahead. Okay. Get rid of that. And replace it with window blocks here. That right there will actually seal this off. Just because we removed the light, we'll go ahead and put another one over here. Actually, we can't put it there, so it'll be without a light. Alright, so anyways, you see this is sealed off now. You can either seal it off, of course, from the exterior or the interior, as we've done here. Small cargo containers, I do not know if they seal. I never bothered to test those. So we will find that out as we progress. Go ahead and open the blast doors, just so I do it later. Now, we've already sealed this off. Come back down. That's sealed off. And the vents and this opening here are going to be a problem. But that's easily curable. You can honestly just put the door there. It looks a little tacky, but it does seal it up. So we'll remove it, because it frankly looks tacky as hell. And let's decide. So the problem with the default doors is they're centered. There's no offset door, which it'll work because we can set this in the windows over here, but then it'll just look tacky as well. So we are going to actually leave the generator there, the gravity generator, exposed. Place this here. And extend that. So this little room here is exposed, of course. There. And over there. Probably put one in here just because it's a little dark. But of course we have this seal right here. Which would also work fairly decently for not just the aesthetics, but also for defensive purposes. Obviously if you're taking fire in this general area here, you have all this section that you can lose blocks on and take damage on without having to lose your actual air pressure and get a breach. Alright, so this is open, similar to what we just did. It's got a door there. It's a nice little setup. We already went over that. That's in the open area, so we don't need to seal that one off. And those are sealed off on the inside now, so that should be good. Basically just do one more check over and make sure we've got everything covered. Of course you want to check the bottom. So they usually end up getting neglected, and that's obviously one of the likely areas you're going to have a problem with. Okay. So that works fine. Travel to the other end of the station, into the hangar, hop out and fly over the side just to make sure that this area is sealed up. You see I've lined up the default large ships over there. Okay, so these vents, where do they actually lead? purely cosmetic. So those we can actually leave, and I'll go ahead and replace that one. It's not a bad looking feature. It's a good way to use vents just for decoration. Alright, so that should have the entire thing sealed up. Easy way to test it is we will go ahead and go in and start working on the airtight doors, of course, because these blast doors do not seal. We could remove them and replace it with airtight doors exactly where they are, and it's not a bad way to do it. But as I've discussed in previous videos, having that second set of blast doors just as an armor plating is a good idea, especially for hangars like this. So we're actually going to leave those up and look into replacing the rest of it. Get rid of you for now. Let's see, we'll still need one over here. And over here. We'll set up a group for those doors. Now it is kind of ugly looking like this, so we might modify it a little bit further. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to remove those. Now we want to add the blast door as our exterior, so that means we need to recess the hangar. Which is relatively fine. Of course, there's a number of ways you can do that. We're actually going to extend these walls. Probably should have just left it in. We'll place it back, so we actually should not have deleted it, basically. Put our controls here. You can name it any way you want when you're making the groups, of course, but you always want to go with a uniform design for the group name so you know which it means which. So if we went with seal for this, we're going to use seal for all the other airtight doors. Alright, so that closes off there. Now we need to deal with this one here. Now this, normally what I do is I just cut out this blast door here, open it up. Since it's this very small, already recessed opening, there's not much need for it as an extra defense. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to cut it right out. It's a 2-piston door. Of course, you'll need to remove both sides. You don't need to, but I will go ahead and fill it up here. Alright, that should be enough. Now you could fill up the top row and just use actually one block for the entire door. I'm just using 4 basically just because that's my personal preference for it. Keep in mind that you can use just the one block. Quick menu check, make sure all the doors are closed. I know we left a few open. So we'll select them all again, we'll toggle open and close. And it's usually a good idea when you're doing a station or a large ship to group all your doors up into an all doors option. Or at least all doors of one type. So you can do a quick open close command for all of those. So we will go ahead and set our O2 generator here and event. And it's yellow, so we do not have pressurization, which means we've got a gap somewhere that is bleeding out. Check that first, so that's just cosmetic. This room is sealed up. We'll go ahead and move down here. Now this large room here is going to be a bit difficult, and this is probably where our breach is. So we'll go ahead and cut this out. Just so you can put a conveyor there, and with the windows it will fill that up. Let's go back and check our O2. Still nothing. Alright, we're going to go ahead and place another O2 generator up in this area. This time we're going to use the existing conveyor system, because that's going to make it a lot easier to get O2 around. So we'll start with it here. Nice convenient spot for it. And throw a vent up there. Alright, so we know that is sealed off now. That whole area down here should be sealed off, but we'll have to recount it and make sure. Seal there, seal there. We seal you off up above. And a seal there. Let's go ahead and step outside. See if we can get an ID on. Yeah. We sealed it off. That should be fine. That is also sealed off there. And just to make sure, we'll go ahead and window it up on the inside. There's any gap around the blast door either, so that should be sealed up. Go out here and take a look again. No? Okay. Quick test to see if it's this area. Easy way to do it. Just break it off. So when you have large segments like that, you just want to brick it off piece by piece until you figure out where the gap is. That's what we're going to do now. Brick this area off. Come back over. Yep, that's where our gap is. Okay, so we can clear this tunnel here. And before you go about correcting where the gap appears to be, this is definitely the way you'll want to do it, is to go through, remove the bricks of the areas before it was corrected. You see how we checked it after bricking one area off and then the other. But you want to remove the bricks off of this section, since we knew that it did not fix the issue. So we can come back and take a look and see that's telling us that again there's a gap. So both of those sections have leaks, and we need to deal with that. So let's start with back down here. We'll start with most likely going to be the blast doors. It's not airtight at all, so we're going to assume this is our culprit. Cut them out. And you'll notice all this tubing in here. This might be to one of the rooms we... Yep, see there's the window right there. That's what the problem was. So, we can just do interior blocks, or we can go with a cosmetic look to it. Or actually, we can even put another airtight one in here, since we want to compartmentalize our different areas. We will go ahead and put an airtight door right there, and we'll remove those. Now you could just do a regular door, but I like the airtight ones. They have that more official-like seal to it. We're even going to change the name on that one just to make sure. Now we're opening it up so we can go back and make sure that we've completed the structure there and that it's fixed the issue, which it has not. So we can cut in here, break that up. See all that O2 flowing down here? I'm willing to bet that means we fixed it. Nope. Nope. Okay. So that was interesting. Where else could the gap be? Alright, so make it easier rather than having to run back, we'll put a temporary generator in here. And next, we'll just go ahead and cut out the light and seal that. So the gap is definitely down in this room. Is it in the hallway? It's in the hallway. Somewhere in this hallway is a leak. let's go ahead and segment it off. Strip all the lights out of here. Wait a minute. No, those are actually stairs. For a second there I thought it was vents, since they are in the habit of using the vents. Let's come up here and we'll seal this. Now really we could just enclose the entire hallway with bricks and be done with it, but we actually kind of like the lighting here. So what we'll try next is stripping away these walls, see what we can find. We'll just go ahead and strip out the sidewall altogether. And we'll replace that with window. Now this is just purely a cosmetic change that should also serve to help fix the gap. I'm starting to believe the gap's got to be something to do with the window ceiling. So we'll strip it out and replace it. has still not corrected our issue. Doesn't seem like that would be the problem, since it was already sealed up. Come to think of it, the last time I worked on sealing this particular base up, I didn't have any problem with this hallway either. Move into this side, make it easier to see without having to come all the way down. Let's treat it as if there is a gap in this main room here, since we've done a lot of the troubleshooting in the hallway. And there's obviously a couple pieces here we can go ahead and start correcting. As I recall, there's a tube here that flies you up to the con tower. So we need to check this area out, make sure it's sealed up. Yeah, we sealed it up over there. Navigating like an idiot. Now this tower is sealed as far as the windows are concerned. I've tested that before on this site. So that shouldn't be an issue. So it means that the issue's got to be further back down. Alright, we'll go ahead and put a seal in here as well. Actually, I'll put it over here. Ah, yeah, I remember now. Sorry, we actually need to put this one through the floor. So my bad on that. Should make sure the hanger is sealed off. I doubt it's going to have any effect on the room here. Admittedly, I'm still not seeing what in that hallway is causing it not to seal. Seems to work fine in here. We'll open up each compartment. That's exterior. It should become very obvious if we open up a door that's to an unsealed area. Such as that. This is the hallway we made that's open. That should be to... okay. A simpler room. Alright, so we know this section of the base is sealed up. It's somewhere in the hallway or the main tower that's giving us the problem. Unfortunately, the oxygen only rushes out in the general direction of the gap. It doesn't actually contort and go through the gap. So we don't know quite where in this situation our gap is just yet. Well, that's fine. We'll come back to it. What we'll do for now, to let us move on to the remainder of the base, is we'll brick it up. Out of sight, out of mind. Not exactly the best engineering solution for the moment, but it does let us confirm that this entire room here, the con tower and everything, is set up properly. Now this one here is likely going to be where we actually leave this generator rather than setting up temporarily, because that tubing runs throughout most of the base. So once we confirm where all the gaps are and make sure everything is sealed up, we'll go ahead and go back through, remove our temporary generators, and start setting up our permanent vents. Which we can do another one down here now just to speed up this area since it's a centralized area. So that'd be a good spot for it there, because it's still tucked out of the way. Alright. So now we need to cut back into here. As you can see, we lost pressure. Could be the hallway. Could be something else. That off. Come back and look. Okay, so the hallway is good. We know it's in the adjoining tower area. So this also has a elevation part. Kind of hard to tell. Yeah, we bricked that off, or windowed it up rather. This could be it. Can't see all the way down there, so we're going to assume that's it. Cut it out, throw our conveyor up, and seal it. And I'm not sure if this is connected to the main room. We'll find out. And of course, we'd have to go back to check. So we can just throw another generator in here real quick. That way we know what's getting O2, so we know that's valid way to check this area. Could be this refinery here. So let's go back to our window segments. It's going to be a pain. We know that's bricked off. The refinery should be bricked off on the top, as I recall. So that actually probably should not be it. Let's check the lower section. Now keep in mind these bases were built by the developers early on, so it could be that it's using some particular configuration of blocks at different settings from an earlier build. And that could easily be what's going on here. May not be this hallway. The hallway still could be a problem, but it may not be the only problem. Yeah, it looks like it's windowed up. Alright, that pretty much narrows it down. It's probably going to be that refinery. We're going to go ahead and go up here. And we're actually just going to pop this one right out. Seal it off. And that's where the problem was. Okay. So these refineries appear not to be set up in such a way that the back section is airtight, like on the refinery I used on the previous video when I was retrofitting the DSUCC model. So let's see if replacing the refinery with a new refinery gives us the results we need. Not. So, go ahead and pop our way out here and seal the entire thing up, rather than just the front section. And we'll do it to the refinery over there as well, and we'll assume that that is what the problem is, so we'll check them both afterwards. The other window. My bad. Okay, so there's that sealed up. So that's sealed up. That one will be sealed up on the inside, so we don't have to worry about that. Coming through here. Actually, that second refinery seal should be irrelevant since we already had the area pressurized and it's not part of the hallway. Cutting that glass away by mistake now. You saw it was still yellow. You can hit the keyboard. Alright, so we saw it was still yellow. That means that this area is not sealed off. So, we'll go ahead and seal off the hallway here. That's not it. Go ahead and cut this guy out. That refinery should be sealed up at this point, but we'll have to seal it up again just to make sure. Yep, something to do with the refinery still. Go figure. Alright, so in this case, we will go ahead and drop this down. Oh, right, large cargo containers in the way. So let's do a bit of restructuring here on the base. Drop it down that way. Get our build shape. That does of course mean that it's not going to be sealed because we have to go back up to the surface, clear out those windows, and then of course brick up the area we cut out up there. That whole deal should be enough. And it is indeed sealed here now. Place that last large cargo container. So this whole area is sealed off. That leaves just the problem hallway left. Since we couldn't find any consistent reason why it's not working, we'll have to start cutting apart and rebuilding. Yeah, it's sealing up. Okay. So it looks like we might have actually missed a brick just over the door, and that was our problem the whole time. Simple things, obviously, but they lead to large problems. It's a large area, so it's going to take a while for that to seal up properly. Go ahead and open this back up. We don't need this generator here anymore. We do need to find the internal tubing and basically pick areas that we are going to set up vents. Now, obviously you want to note that this appears to be exposed up top, from what I can tell. So the small clear containers, I guess they keep oxygen in as well. And here we're hoping to find just basically tubing of any kind. So we can hook our vents straight up to it without having to set up a separate generator system. Well, there's tubing that runs under here. So we'll pop this out and take a look. There it is. Okay. So it all connects to here, which we could probably assume these are connected to each other. Easy way to check. Well, obviously we can't because we have the windows there. So we'll cut that there. Good, that should still be sealed. Throw it here. Okay, now we need to go seal up our gap we made in the floor. Hopefully they'll add some slanted air vents as well, because that would look a lot better here. But that sets it up so we have an air vent in this room, which of course will seal off from the rest of the station. You do want to try to get ventilation in each separate room, because if your room takes damage, it has the vent. Of course, you're sealing it off, and now your entire station is without O2. So what we can do here, pop that one out. And that one's also connected to the system. You can tell because it's green, indicating that it's got full pressure in here. That means it's pulling O2 out of the generator in the conveyor system. And here as well. Oh, this might be a problem. Yep. It is right on a door. But that's okay, we can fix that fairly easily. Where are we? Right on the ramp. So, easy way to fix this. Get a platform. Kill the light, of course, and then throw that platform down there. Makes the hallway dark, but we can deal with it. And thankfully those platforms are completely sealable. So you see, we still got O2 there. There's this one there. That was exterior. Let's find out if this one's just connected. Yep, that's connected as well. Right, that goes straight out to the open space. Right, now we would want to put one in here in the med bay room, but we'll get to modifying it to, well, for that later on, basically. Right now we just want to make sure that we have a number of O2 vents in each sealed compartment. Now this may be a problem because this area will not have a vent, but at the same time that's fine because that'll actually seal off this entire tower with our sealed door here. So we can close that. Now we'll actually want to go ahead and put another one in. Right about here should be perfect. And we'll go ahead and, well, there's a number of ways we can do this. We can, yep. Hang on. the video here. Alright, we're back. Had to fix the desk situation. So there's a number of ways we can seal this up. We could do a whole row all the way across here, which wouldn't be too bad. Or we can even just brick this area up. Actually, I think what we're going to do is going to be the row going across. So you see how I'm actually staggering them on each side. It's more of a cosmetic thing, obviously. And we'll set up a panel system. We'll correct the look of this particular brick here. Don't like the way that looks there. Here. That just looks really nice having it with one on each side, or two on one side, one on the other, obviously in this case. When you're doing a door like this where you can stagger it on the sides, it just really adds to the overall look. Alright, so basically what this is if this tower takes damage, or that tower, or even just the corridor here, we can seal off the corridor from both ends. Now this is one of the few exceptions where you wouldn't want to worry about having to have a vent in here. Though you could, of course, because the piping runs right under it. We could set up a vent. That actually might not be a bad idea, set up a vent right over here. But that's actually what we're going to go ahead and do right now. We'll dig in. Down, it's over, and then down again. Perfect. Okay. So we'll take our elbow joint. Alright, see there we've got a vent for the corridor itself. So anybody that gets trapped in here, if these two towers take damage, they can seal it off, and they'll have O2 until rescue arrives. We'll go ahead and seal that off. Alright, so this one here, we could put a set right here as well, and seal it off, and we could also put a vent in here, but I wouldn't really worry about the vent, because if this one takes damage on both of these two structures, the hangar and the main tower, you're going to be pretty much screwed on it anyway, so there's not much you can do about that. Alright, so we're going to have to start on this row here, which does mean we'll have to kill that glass in a minute. Or right now, rather. But that's fine. We do know that we have to go about redesigning our bases and stations, or ships rather, to make it work properly with the O2 system. since a lot of them were designed before the concept was even considered for the game. We already got one. So we throw that down there. And there's no way in up there, so we will have to come back around. Now, of course, you've already noticed we have not set up any of our depressurization timers like we discussed in our previous videos. And we will get to that. That will be something that we add. But for now, it's not that big of a priority just yet. Of course, my haphazard naming process here so far needs a bit more refinement. I could be a bit more articulate with the names I'm giving these door segments. Oh, I messed that up. I put them in the wrong direction. So we'll replace those. There we go. Put it there, that way you're forced to look out towards the would-be front of the base. Gives you a nice view that way. We'll come back later and basically start renaming everything. Now these doors, when they're coming up, they do move fairly fast, so you don't have the option to run through that single space, as you saw. Still like to try on occasion. Forgot to seal the other one, so we'll have to seal it from this side. Alright, so that'll seal off that hallway there. That gives us the main room, of course. Which we can go ahead and put one in here as well, since our general practice has been to, well, seal off each actual hallway segment. Now, you can basically really only do the recessed once downward. So in other words, you're going to have that dip, and you'd have to lower the floor down with ramps to make up for it. That should pretty much take care of this one. Just double check. Yep, we have the seal again. And again, we want to try to put it on prettier sides to look at, and in this case I'm actually going to go with the rear facing. That's a much better view out there, open space. Now you can rename the individual doors, and that's usually good practice if it's a base you're going to spend a lot of time with and expand on, or a ship of course. This one here, obviously conveyor block there, that makes it questionable, but this would be perfect for our second seal, just right here. So let's cut away the conveyors here and see if that's something we can manage. Of course we want it to be there. Go ahead and throw that sucker in. We cut away the one we just placed. We can manage that. Okay. So, see, we got that there. And we will come back over here, cut that away, and that. And basically what we'll do is we'll put ourselves up here. Is it? There we go. So that gives us a good floor for the second level. That'll have enough room to close. I know we got an elbow piece here. And we'll put our elbow piece up. Now we just need to put the panel in to control it. This is going to be a tight fit anyways. So that shouldn't really matter there. Yeah, that should be sealed as well. And again, that's another hallway we're not going to worry about the actual air vent for. Now this one here, you could basically leave it as is if you wanted. And basically just put another seal right here. Or we can actually put seals over here and over here, like at this end, which is definitely part of what we're going to do. But this is just a docking arm, of course, so it's not that big of a deal to worry about. Now, for convenience sake, since this is already set up here, we may just want to go right on ahead and make another seal right here. Not needed, of course. But usually you see that there's multiple seals for any docking arm in any sci-fi series or even real astronauts, or real astronautical programs, I guess would be the term. Actually, we can do without the armor blocks. Cut those down. We'll use our trusty platform. Use a trusty platform all the way across the top and change the overall look of it. Also, technically gives it a little extra layer of protection too. Set up. Panel might be a little bit of a problem here. But you know what? We can fix this as well. So let's go ahead and pop these windows off. We will go ahead and set up a panel right there. Pop these windows off. We'll set up a panel right over here. So you're wondering why we're popping the windows off, because we're going to come out here. We are going to place our own windows all the way across. So that'll seal it back up and give a little bit extra room let us put extra lights in there if we need to, or want to, really. Definitely going to go ahead and put a light here. A light here. Now this is where I'd like to have more structural designs for the interior blocks, not just an actual block, but like slope blocks, corner blocks, just like with the armor blocks, because it would look really nice that way. These we don't even need to rename, but we can, of course, if we want to. Alright, so now we have our docking arm here all set up. We'll come back down. We'll even just use this same panel. And that seals it off. Okay, so you might be wondering now, we've got all our doors sealed off, our blast doors, docking arms, all the towers and corridors have redundant seals. We've got O2 vented everywhere. So how are we going to handle the vertical pathing? Now that's just as easy to fix, really. Again, unfortunately the doors do not come in offsets for a default. There's a mod pad account that I use regularly that actually has a large selection of doors, and it's basically what you're going to want to use in this situation. But you can just put a door down here, and that will seal off those two sections. Up and head back over to the other section. There's verticals over there. But basically you just use the door, or you could actually get a bit more elaborate with it, make enough space and put another airtight hanger door there and just seal it off that way. It'll give it a more militaristic feel to it. Let's see, we maintain pressure the whole time. But basically, if this was offset, of course, that means that the door would be towards one end of the actual block. Kind of like how the lights are. The lights are always on the far end of the block. So your door would basically be where your light is, and it would take up that whole side of the block. And it makes it a lot better looking because it makes it more flush with different objects. Like if we put the door here, obviously you're going to see these gaps. But it would be further back, right about there. And of course, just go into the workshop and look up the door mod. I forget who it's by and the actual name of it, but it's the most popular door mod in the workshop, so it'll be easy to find. Now when you're setting these doors, you want to make sure it lines up with the interior passage. And if they ever go back to adding a ladder system to the interior passage, of course they're going to need to do something with a seal or hatch for it. Because in other words, we won't be able to use this system. And that there seals all of that off. And here I think we're actually going to take a second to see if we can get a vent set up there. Because it would not do to have to seal off your control tower, only to find out you have no O2 up there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and set a vent up on the side here. Because again, we need to make sure we've got O2. Does no good to have an O2 system if you can't get it to the key areas. Actually, I'm going to say we should probably do one right here. So, over here. We could do elbows, but there's negligible cost in material use there. In fact, you know, I hadn't tested it with an elbow. So we're going to go ahead and put an elbow on the end of that, and then throw a vent on the end just to see if it'll work. Yeah, that works fine. Bit awkward looking. So we will go ahead and remove that. Basically, you can use the actual tube, obviously, to connect to your air vent. So whichever one suits your artistic style. There's a nice view up here. This is where you'd probably go about setting an all doors option. Does it need to be all doors? We do door all. And what that means is we'll go ahead and map it here. Our groups. Close, or better yet, since it is a all doors and they don't have any type of fire to worry about, we will just map it to close command. So that right there will close all those doors of those types. Since you can't give the open close command to different types of doors in the same group, we had to do it as two separate groups. And that closes all the doors in a facility with 2 buttons. And we can set up a timer block and make it 1 button if we want to. And that way you're taking damage, you don't know where all your leaks are, and your command console, you just close everything. And then you're good to go. Out to the exterior to do one quick little look over. Make sure we haven't missed anything. Of course, we know we have good interior seals because of the air pressure in all the compartments. Alright, so basically just to recap. As you can see, of course, we did, as you saw throughout the video, flush out the main corridor there. Looks a lot beefier. It's not a bad look to it. It's very similar to the original, of course. The glassing over of our cargo containers, refineries, and other non-sealable objects. It was necessary, and frankly, it looks pretty good. Like right here, the refinery looks okay. It doesn't look any worse than the refinery on its own. Of course, we could invert the glass. Or it is inverted glass. We could use regular glass and have it all glossed over so you couldn't see what's in there. That would have been an option, of course. That tower looks pretty good when it's got that cargo over, or glassed over. Same with the main tower. Backside looks good. Docking arm looks good. I did not notice this before. We're going to need to seal this up. So, easy way to do it. Just replace it with glass. Stick it behind the med bay. There we go. So see, we would not have had pressure if the med bay was open, and that would have been a whole nother thing. Alright, well that pretty much covers refitting this station here. Gives you an idea of how to set it up to make sure every compartment is sealed, how to go about testing it. Of course, you saw we had a few issues with it, and we went through our troubleshooting to make sure we figured out what the issue is and get it corrected. Took a little bit of time, but we got it sorted. And of course, the key thing is the venting. We had to make sure that our venting is correct. Alright, so I hope that was helpful and informative, and as always, thanks for watching.